Tolkien's plan, really from the very outset, was to create a complete mythology. But he said, I'm going to leave areas that are only sketched in, like blank spaces on the map. And I want other minds and hands wielding art and paint and drama to come in and take over the story. The heart of the game is love, fellowship, the love of the Shire, the love of community, the love of good food, good tilled earth, and the desire to protect and enjoy nature.
You're coming into Bywater as a new Hobbit and trying to find your place within that group, but also you're exploring what it means to be part of a beautiful landscape and making that your new home.
We're making a little pocket where that kind of life is preserved and anyone can come and experience that. It's the kind of life that makes Middle-earth worth saving.
Weta Workshop's history with the Tolkien world, it stretches such a long way back. Those early days working on Lord of the Rings, 7 years, living and breathing in Middle-earth, it's such a long journey.
Something like Tales of the Shire is really big for us. It's taken multiple years, it's taken a lot of people, and we don't want to fall short of the expectation we have on ourselves, so therefore hopefully won't fall short on the expectations of our players.
As a game studio, it's incredibly unique and this incredible privilege to be able to literally walk 150 metres down the road into an actual armoury and talking to master craftspeople, swordsmiths about what was the forge situation in 19th century England and, you know, what kind of alloys would they have been using that's so special and unique to us.
Tales of the Shire has been our opportunity to tell our little slice of the story through our specific lens, to create this virtual world with a very unique visual style. We didn't want to copy things that have been done before. We wanted to complement and find our own language of design. Steve Lambert, one of our wonderful and senior designers, took on that task, and he has done an extraordinary job.
The art style of the game came from my experiences of The Hobbit as a child and the books that I had growing up. And I was really influenced by artists like Singer Sargent and people like that who, you know, there's a certain kind of simplicity and elegance in their work. This is a story that's kind of told in that kind of vein of The Hobbit rather than The Lord of the Rings, and the world is yet to sort of become a dark and kind of menacing place, and that was trying to reflect that. And we wanted to carry that through with the art style. It's quite a challenge with how much is out there in the world now, with the impression that it's made in the zeitgeist of what Middle-earth and that kind of world looks like and feels like. So we had to make a fresh and unique attempt at imagining that again.
The game is very specific to the places that Tolkien refers to in his writing. The trees are all trees that you would find in the UK, and the shape of the landscape with those beautiful rolling hills. But here in Aotearoa, we're huge lovers of the natural world, and I think that inspires us as well as artists, that love of being outside, of looking around, of being in nature.
There are quests throughout the game that get you to really notice nature or respond to things in nature. You'll plant different things in different seasons, and keeping an eye on what nature is doing and planning your life around that. Everyone should probably take a moment every day to just, sit down and have a look around and appreciate a tree or something, but we don't always get that chance.
For me, when I want to lose myself in a fantasy world, thoughtful detail, depth of thought in that world is kind of critical, and that's something that I really love about this. Weta Workshop has this world-building ethos beyond what you see on screen and to think of them as real places, to imagine why things look the way they do, what's the cultural background for it, what's the history, what's the wider world that informs them. And I think all of that comes together beautifully to create such an immersive experience. The more you look, the more you see, and the more you appreciate how much thought's gone into creating it.
Nothing's really new in Tolkien's world. Everything's been built in the past. And I think that also applies to Hobbits. Like, some new stuff is still being made, but there's a lot of care and love to maintain and restore what's already there. Despite it being stylized, it's still, everything's grounded. Even like the craftsmanship, the textiles, the way everything's made, it's still very grounded. Steve had done a bunch of work and he kind of landed on what he wanted the environment to look like. So I was brought in to figure out what the characters look like. And I essentially just drew what my dream game would be. I drew this, what I felt cool, what I felt cute, what I felt cozy. I'm drawing in my own art style, so it's really comfortable. And luckily Steve loves my stuff. So it was very easy just to keep the ball rolling.
For any good story, you need to have a conflict. You need to have a problem for the player, the viewer, the reader to solve. So we're like, well, what kind of problem will hobbits have? Because hobbits do not have very big problems. They are a people of kind of a small town mentality. Everything important for them happens in their own little village. So that was very challenging for us. We didn't want this game to be about the actual big problems in Lord of the Rings. We wanted to set that to the side and be like, okay, well, let's actually spend time in Bywater. What would we be doing there?
You know, I came to this job as an experienced Tolkien scholar and enthusiast for Tolkien's work and as a playwright and a screenwriter. But I didn't want to just take the books as my only point of inspiration. What I wanted to do was go back and actually look at Tolkien's life and what inspired Tolkien and what affected him. And it's things like the urbanization of the landscape of his childhood and his love of trees. It was looking at the effect that the First World War had on him, about what happened to his country after that time and how some of its values, the really positive things that were important to him, seemed to be being lost, and he wanted to preserve them or to champion them again. So I was taking all those ideas and then using that as my point of inspiration. Tales of the Shire is set in Bywater, not in Hobbiton, but Bywater is effectively part of Hobbiton. And I struggled for a bit to work out what to call it because, you know, I need to write things down. And is it a village? So it's not really a village, it's kind of just part of Hobbiton, right? And then I realised I had my story. People like Farmer Cotton, who are fiercely proud of Bywater, want Bywater to be a village. But people like Sandyman, the miller, because he's an antagonistic character, he wants it to be part of Hobbiton because it's Hobbiton Mill, and he sells his flour from Hobbiton Mill. And that is our story. Some of our characters are canonical. Farmer Cotton, Sandyman the miller, Old Noakes, Rosie Cotton, young Tom Cotton. These are characters that are in the books. So they're part of the world. So it was then taking, okay, what do we have of them, and then developing it further. As you talk to more of the characters, you get to know them better. You eat with them and give them the food they like, and your relationship improves. They start to open up to you about their lives and really hope that the things that the characters say are really quite illuminating. They kind of really flesh out the characters. And hopefully there's a few surprises in there that people go, oh, that's really interesting.
We're really inspired by that sort of nostalgic sense of what the hobbits were, a people and a place that is all about the natural world, and to try and give that sense of delight and comfort and home to our player.
All the things that are good and wholesome and wonderful and make you feel positive about Middle-earth, they're all the values that J.R.R. Tolkien was espousing when he came up with this world. They're what's at stake when you go on these mighty quests and all that kind of stuff. But at the heart of the Tales of the Shire, it's about community and about connection and about appreciating the world around you.
I hope that you see and you can feel the heart and the soul that has gone into the game. We're such huge Tolkien fans that we really wanted to create something that was so true to that and that would feel really authentic.
It's exciting to be at this point, thinking that we're putting a piece of Middle-earth out into the world, seen through a Weta Workshop lens, and hopefully will be embraced warmly by the people that choose to play it.